Twitch, yeah.
Except Facebook, no.
Oh no.
There we go.
Yay! It's working. Whiskey for you. Hello, everyone. Happy day after Halloween. So we are back again with our nerd rage on Whiskey Wednesday.
Thank
so,
you, Facebook, for telling me about my own video.
Cheers.
Cheers.
This
is on my computer.
I swear we've
got it, guys.
Every week it happens.
Every week, we swear to God, we haven't been drinking before this starts.
Yes.
Every week.
And every week I spill something.
Yes.
Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it.
This is a very new small batch whiskey.
Ooh, I like it.
Oh, is this the one you were waiting for, and then you think you had to sign for it?
Yes, yes. Just arrived Saturday.
Fresh. It's a fresh newborn baby whiskey. Although ideally it's not.
Strong and delicious.
That's what she said. I have no idea what that means. I don't know.
Worry about it.
I don't know.
Strong and delicious.
Good work.
That's how I feel about cereal. That's how I feel about breakfast cereal.
Alright.
Sorry, y'all. We're trying to spread the social love.
Yes.
We are on Twitch.
We are on
Facebook.
We're on Twitch again. We'll see if it works this time. I deleted last week's because it just fucking stopped.
Yes.
Good. It was bad.
Oh.
It's on a big delay.
Yeah, it usually is. That's why I don't listen to it. I just...
Okay, we got this?
You got it? You got
Yeah.
it, Rue? Alright, well, we've got a bunch of stuff to talk about this week.
We sure do.
Alright, so should we go into spoilers? Go straight
do
into
it.
it?
Go straight into it.
So, as
Which,
you know...
to be clear, don't you dare turn this off. We're talking about how spoilers suck. We're not giving you spoilers.
We're not doing spoilers. We're nerd raging about people who love to spoil stuff. But this needs to be a wider discussion because when is the statute of limitations for when you spoil?
I
how
say
long?
1 week.
1 week? But now let's say, is that for an episode or is that something like
I say
Stranger Things, which is 9 hours of television technically? Do you know what I mean?
I say you gotta give that a week. I say you gotta give it a week.
Yeah.
Honestly,
so everything is a week?
No, I think for episodes, you should at least wait, I don't know, maybe for episodes 3 to 4 days.
Yeah. Oh, how about I put my foot in your drink? That'd be good.
Thank you.
So I think that also what needs to be discussed here is what constitutes a spoiler.
Well, okay.
There's people that say things that they think aren't spoilers, but they are.
Yeah, see, because there are those people that are they don't mean to, they're just excited. And I know we've done that plenty of times with Dragon Ball Super where we're just this universe gets deleted. Oh. Sorry. Sorry.
Well, and there's also, I think, it's one of those things where, in a way, God. No, this is spoilers, not assault. Whatever. I'm not saying. I was gonna be I don't want to blame the reader, but no, fuck you. I'm blaming the reader. Sometimes if you're the person who's I don't want to know a single precious thing about anything, and I must experience everything. Then just don't go reading those things. Because there are things that somebody's gonna say that maybe that they think is an atmospheric thing or a thing that is obvious or something that was already reported on, and that's not on them to know that you didn't read that article.
News sites spoil too.
That's fair, but
I'm not saying that applies to everything, but I'm saying some of the things, I'm saying specifically in the instance where someone says something, they're this is definitely not a spoiler because, everybody knows he has brown hair, and then somebody bombs into their comments how dare you tell me the color of his hair?
But for instance,
okay, relax.
I get it if it's after the movie comes out, then I'm okay, I'm just not gonna go on the internet until I see this movie. For example, with Star Wars Force Awakens, and I feel I can say this because it's been 2 years I can say this. Is the only reason I feel I can say this. There was somebody on my Facebook that spoiled it on the Tuesday before it came out. The Tuesday. It was and it's not.
One friend.
I did. I knew the guy for 10 years. 10 years. I didn't talk to him about it. Nothing. Just you are the worst. But the spoiler was so aggressive because basically
you can say it.
Yeah.
Right?
So basically, it was this gif of this girl in a thong shaking her booty, and then it just flashed Han dies, and that was the whole gif. And I was what? Why?
That was a thing somebody did to be a dick.
Yes.
Yeah.
That so those are the different flavors of like spoilers, I feel like, or people that spoil is either A, they're doing it on purpose
like Beth. Like
because
the other day when Beth watched the X-Files.
Oh, well, this was a while ago. I was
the
telling...
internet wasn't even invented when she.
Okay, yeah, this is a good
this
point
was a
when we're
good
talking
one.
about
So, my husband and I have had this argument for years now about like what the statute of limitations is on old things, and whether or not you can be considered spoiling an old thing. And I think that I think like in the general context, like, no, like, sure, if somebody was just like talking and seems like whatever, but like he was speaking to me knowing specifically that I had not seen X-Files and that it was old,
because you were telling him that you were watching it for the first time.
For the first time on Netflix, and he knows that I hadn't seen it, and he knows that I probably didn't know anything about it, and he just went, "Oh, did you get to the part where Duchovny leaves yet?" And I was like,
but you know that I'm watching it for the first time.
which, like, maybe I'm now doing that to somebody on this stream, and sorry, and, like, maybe it's not that big a deal, but at the time I was just like, what the fuck?
Okay,
like,
I did, so
you
I didn't
know
tell
that I'm not, you know I'm watching this for this. He's like, well, I just assumed you knew that. I was like, why would I just know that?
Why would I know that?
He's like, well, because it's been out for so long. And I was like, yeah, but my experience with, like, social, like, cultural stuff is not the same as yours. I don't just know
and also,
that.
like you were saying, the internet wasn't really around during, like, the first,
Yeah.
like, run of X-Files, so you wouldn't know that. So, I did the same thing by accident to a friend, because, well, it was a new friend I just met. It was, like, my boyfriend's friends, and this was, like, literally me meeting them, like, walking up to meet them before we went to go see Power Rangers, like, this last year. And she's like, oh, are we watching Buffy? And I was like, oh, man, Buffy's the best, like, and started talking about Buffy, and then I was like, oh, man, but, like, that episode, The Body, when her mom dies, and, like, this, that, the other, and, like, one of them got this blank look, and she's like, yeah, I have never seen it before. I was like, oh, my God, I am so sorry. Oh, I'll just leave. I'll just see myself out. And she's like, it's fine, like, we're only just starting it, and I was like, oh, God.
Can we talk about last night? The movie last night that we watched, where Ruth Ann apparently likes to predict plot lines, not caring if they're correct or not, and thereby within 5 minutes of the movie starting, telling us how it ends.
All right, there's wine involved as well.
Brandon won't watch. I was not there for this part, but Brandon won't watch things with me that involve like a crime. Because within 10 minutes, I'm like, that they did it.
Like, that's done.
That's some bullshit.
Yeah, that happened to me. I did that.
Bullshit.
He gets mad at me for
here's
knowing
the
how.
funny thing, though.
And also, well, or even like normal movies. There's things we're watching, like, or even like normal, like we'll be watching, and he'll be like, I saw that coming an hour ago, and he's like, how? How did you see that coming an hour ago?
Well, that's like, okay. Well,
narrative structure, dude.
Yeah, exactly. I was just going to say it's a formula. However, it's like, I feel like, okay, there's certain people when we work in the industry, and I say that as like, you know, Ruth Ann or Marcus, for instance, who, when they see something, is just obvious. And it just comes from being around it a lot.
The storytelling and all that kind of
and all that stuff.
Oh,
But
and Dave agreed with you, saying, like, anything before a week is too soon. After a week, it's on the viewer. Yeah,
Yes.
I agree, Dave.
Yeah,
I agree. But, like, Dave, would you say that also for something like Stranger Things that's, like, 9 hours long? Because, I mean, most people have real jobs and can't, like, take a day off like I did to watch all of Stranger Things. So, like, but you're right. So I did the same thing, but luckily it was because somebody was showing me a movie for the first time, and everybody else in the room had seen it, which was 28 Weeks Later. Because I saw 28 Days Later first. Right? Yeah. But 28 weeks later, to me, there was like this super obvious thing in the very beginning. And I was like, oh, well, that's that and that's that. And they're like, how did you solve before? And
I think Dave was tweeting only at you, though.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know what he said, but he responded again.
Oh, okay.
Well, honestly, I think that...
No, Gary, you cannot ruin Thor now just because you got to see it in England a week ago. Shut your mouth.
Gary.
Uh-oh.
We will hunt you down and hurt you very badly. Don't you do it,
Colin. I promise we're not going to talk about Stranger Things too.
I haven't even seen the first season, so you're safe from me, man.
Oh, nobody spoiled it for you yet, Colin. That's excellent. That's really good. Which is surprising because, like, since it came out on Thursday night, like I was actually worried at the con all weekend.
And there's especially things, by the way. You want to actually be like, I can't believe blah blah blah. Like you want to do it.
Oh my gosh, I wanted to so bad.
Yeah, it's one of those things, man. It's that good. But.
Yeah.
And like I get it. Some people really do want to discuss it, and I don't think that oh, he has a hammer. You're so fucking clever. So.
Gary, she does actually like you.
I'm so pumped about this movie.
I know. Yeah, Colin,
he's right. You're right. He is playing with fire. But no. So I think that there. And I know a few people who will post a thing that says like, "Hey, I watched Stranger Things. If you've watched it, I really want to discuss it." Like, and then it'll say like spoilers below, and they'll make sure it goes like below anything, like, which I think that's fine.
I scroll past
if you really want to like discuss something, and you've said like, "Hey, I'm discussing this in a very spoiler way," like, come join me in my comments.
Yes.
But I mean, there are plenty of things that. I mean, I think you're right that there is like plenty of news media and stuff that does spoil even.
Sure, I see that all the time with
even
Walking
outside
Dead.
of your friends.
Like whoever dies, they would throw it in the headline the next day.
So I'm saying even outside of your friends, I have never seen a single episode of Game of Thrones, but I can tell you a lot of what happens on Game of Thrones just from having existed in the world for the past 7 years.
Yeah, internet, let alone just being at parties and being like, oh my god.
But it's not even like the internet. Like, yes, I see people's reactions. Like my friends who have watched it, I see the reaction, but I also like. It'll pop up in like the sidebar as like a news item on Facebook, and I'm like, well, I guess
that's known, yeah.
All right,
because that's what's happening. Like, all right.
I don't know. We do this in we have a bad habit of doing this.
Okay. It's just Colin and Gary are doing lightning puns now. My boys. So, but
there's a bad habit that we have of doing this in the comics industry too, particularly.
Oh yeah, so that's
just like showing a preview page that's like, well, that was the point.
Because like books is another thing. Because I know especially with like Harry Potter and like those type of books, as soon as they came out, people were like, I read it. I'm gonna tell you everything that happened. Brr, 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 brr.
You know what? That's a good point to bring up because I would like to know what the attraction is in spoiling things for other people because I do know a few people who love to do it. They love to be that
they love to be like, I saw it first, so I'm better.
You know, like, I don't know if that's like a one-up or like I'm better than you because I've already seen it, already read it, already whatever. You know, and I just want to brag to everyone that I got to see it first or read it first or whatever. So now I'm gonna just all over the place.
Yeah.
And I think it's funny.
I mean,
and I don't
do you think it's a part of the troll culture that is the internet of just like I like pissing people off, so I'm just going to like spoil anything you love?
Absolutely.
The worst.
Yep.
Don't like the spoiler people.
Nope.
Well, I mean, that's the person who made that GIF that you were upset about, which also, that's how I say it, fucking come at me, bro.
GIF?
Come at me, bro. I don't care. But anyway, like, that person was perfectly good. That person was trying to be a jerk. That person was trying to be a jerk.
Yeah, but there are people like Gary accidentally. I don't remember what he accidentally spoiled for you. It was some episode of it was the finale of Flash. That's what it was.
Yeah.
And Gary accidentally spoiled it. Oh, Gary. Boo. Mm-mm.
Yep. It was just that was not cool.
Yeah, not cool, bro. But again, he did not mean to. He felt terrible.
Yeah, well,
he did not realize.
I feel like a lot of people, that's like the whole thing, like you last night, you didn't realize you'd spoiled anything until literally after the movie's over, and I was like, I would like to discuss this with you.
I would like to discuss after 2 bottles of wine.
5 minutes, and you were just like, oh, this is a Fight Club thing, they're the same person. And I was like,
what video? Which ones, what were you watching?
We were watching Stay.
Oh. Which, by the way, that's not.
No, it's not. I was wrong.
She was wrong, but for the entire movie, anytime Ruth Ann predicted something, she'd go, huh. Like, and I was like, what the hell? Or she'd just sit there and go, oh, yep. I was like,
again, can we talk about how much wine and candy we had celebrating Halloween?
I mean, it was just funny because she's talking about the spoiler thing afterwards, and I was like, can I bring this up?
There was a TV show called Fringe that I do the same thing. Same with you, of just being like, that's what's happening.
Yeah, Fringe. Yeah. Colin actually had a productive comment.
Wow. Damn, Beth is on the warpath today.
Sorry, guys. I'm sorry. I'm very tired. They're fixing the laundry room in my building. It's immediately under my bed, and they started banging at like 6 a.m. I'm not happy.
All right, what's the productive
Okay.
comment?
Oh, because Colin feels it's at least a month before you talk about spoilers.
A month.
2
Everybody's
months
forgotten
before you
about
take
it.
away your spoiler tag, and 3 months before you start shouting at random people on the street.
That's fair. Well, it's,
I don't know. That's
it's
a long
tough
time.
though, because we're such a immediate culture
It
now. Is a month too long now? Like I would understand that back in like the pre-TiVo days.
Yeah, and I can see like, okay, this Saturday will be a week since Stranger Things has come out, and honestly, it might be too soon still.
Yeah, I
But
mean,
that's like
I
a
think for
whole
something,
season.
that's what I'm saying. I
Yeah,
think for something
yeah.
like Stranger Things,
Yeah.
it's like hard to gauge because it's not, a 2-hour movie that you can assume that like a lot of people who wanted to see it saw the first week. Like it's literally like 9 or 10 hours that you are expecting someone to have committed over the course of their week,
Right.
just so that they can, so they have to rush to enjoy it so that somebody else doesn't ruin it for them.
So maybe for a season, I would say a month, Colin, right? Like I would feel.
Yeah, I would say that's probably appropriate.
But what's interesting is, so for the first season of Stranger Things, I actually didn't watch that until like a month or two ago. And
seen
surprisingly,
it.
stuff wasn't spoiled for me. Like I was really surprised at all like the twists and
Not even
turns of.
Barb?
I mean,
I knew that, but I still haven't seen
actually,
it, and
I didn't know that Barb was gonna die. I just knew something happened to Barb, that like she got
Justice
like
for
the
Barb.
short, that whole thing, justice for Barb. So like I didn't know what happened to Barb. I just knew that like there was justice.
I knew what happened, but partially it's because I really like that actress and I wanted her to be Squirrel Girl real bad. So I've read stuff about her.
She's on Riverdale now.
But still.
All right, so it sounds like we're all in agreement and all enraged by
Spoilers suck.
these spoilers. Yes, they're the worst.
Don't be that guy.
Don't be that guy.
Don't be that.
Poor Colin, or Gary just told another story that he accidentally spoiled Civil War because he thought everybody knew that
Dude.
Ant-Man was in it, and so
Oh
he was
my
like
God.
Giant Man and.
Oh my god.
Actually,
Stop.
you know what spoiled Giant Man for me?
Yeah.
Was Marvel. Marvel did because they put out a Funko Pop of Giant Man, and I saw it in the comic shop the week before.
Yeah, and you're like, well, I guess he goes giant in the movie.
I saw it in the comic shop the week before they were selling it.
That actually happened with Justice League as well because they put out a Superman figure to go with everybody else, and it's like, so really?
Marcus. Barb dies.
Damn it, Marcus. I spoiled it, but wait, that's a year, so I'm fine. I'm under the
fine.
statutes.
It's been a
Okay.
year.
Yeah, jeez. Bird. Whatever. But yeah, it's so enraging, and like, you guys are right that you just stay offline for as long as you can, but something like Stranger Things,
And
it's
there
like,
are-
it takes most people a long time to get through it.
And again, this is the thing where I don't want to like put the onus on the person watching, but there's actually a lot of really good, especially in Chrome, there's a lot of good like extensions that people have built for things like this. Like if you use
That's
Tumblr,
true.
there's Tumblr Savior, which will like block posts that have certain words or
Words,
tags
yeah.
in them. There's extensions that do similar things to like other places that do them to your Facebook pages. That if you say like, hey,
Can
I
you
don't
do
want
that
to
on
see.
your phone though?
I don't know if there's an extension on your phone. If anybody knows that there's an app on
yes.
your phone that does that,
Let us know if there's an app
please
for
let
that.
me
I'm
know.
sure
But
there
I
is.
do know that there are extensions.
Because most of my social
particularly-
media I'm like on my phone.
Yeah, I do
so.
know that there are extensions, particularly on Chrome, like on the internet, that you can use to just like block it so people don't see it.
Yeah.
And
Alright, well, and just be good people, and
Yeah.
let's take down those trolls that do that. Okay, so our other
Or all
nerd rage.
trolls.
Yeah, right. All right, so our other nerd rage today is something very specific to all of us, and it started because we all have our own like things that we've been professionals in this industry for a long time.
it started
Pet
because
peeves.
Rue and I have problems.
Yes, it happens because like.
And I have to listen to them all the time.
But then she acts like she's the only one that doesn't. But then if there's any
no,
editing
I
stuff,
know.
and then she'll rage about it. So Chris, why don't you start?
Okay, wait, hold on.
Wait.
To be clear, I need to specify what it means for you, how this started. We were at a party at LA Comic Con the other night, and there was a fog machine.
A fog machine.
And we
it's
leaned
not.
over the edge, and we were looking, and she was like, that fog machine is not working right.
That's
and
not
I like
working right.
leaned over, and I was like, they are not using the right kind of fog liquid. And
And-
she was just looking at us like, what is wrong with you?
And then, as always,
And
'cause
then
I'm a
we both
lighting
got
nerd,
so mad about it.
about that, and I'm a lighting nerd, so I'm like, the lighting is why is there not a
There's not a
spotlight?
spotlight on the singer! Yeah, and she like everybody was freaking out. I didn't know what was going on because I don't care.
Yeah, we were just mad about it.
But it
Yeah.
shows that when you're passionate and professional, or passionate about what you do in whatever industry you're doing it in, that you get really frustrated when things aren't done right. And it's just interesting because our company, we have a very wide spread of like different talents and different like things that we focus on. So Chris, what are some of your professional nerd rage pet peeves?
Well, I'm not going to get into like the nitty gritty of like grammatical things, which are a serious pet peeve of mine. Because
I'll give you 14 fucking couplets on the Oxford comma.
Oh my god. But I'm with you on that,
I know.
so we can't discuss it because we're in agreement. But
No, I can discuss it because the world is not in agreement.
we're for the Oxford comma, by the way, just to make that clear.
Oh, Colin saw the same fog machine.
Yes,
That is the fog machine.
Yes, that is the fog machine. Bow, bow. Yes, Colin wins. He knows exactly what we were raging about.
Oh, was that the one? Was the one with the globe on the railing? Yes, it was.
That was the
Yes,
one.
yes.
That was the one.
All right.
But anyway, so for instance, like if in comic books, okay, so if you're a professional artist, maybe take this advice to heart. But tangents drive me nuts. Like, I just cannot stand a tangent. And a tangent is when a line touches another line, like the border of like the panel, and it takes away the depth because it's just touching like,
Yeah.
and oh my god, that drives me absolutely insane. And I'm not going to name names. So I used to work with this artist who is very well known now. He's on Spider-Man or something. And he used to do tangents all the time in his very first book that he did at Image. And I would nail him for it, and he hated me so much for it. And after a while, he'd just go, sure, and then not fix it. So I don't think he does it anymore. But
Wait,
anyway.
did you tell everybody your history with of editing? How many years you've been?
Oh, I used to edit for Image Comics.
There we go.
I did 75 different titles over at Image in the course of my 5 years that I was there. So there you go. Yes. So I was responsible for a lot of creators getting their start. So there's that.
Yes.
However, transitions are also a pet peeve of mine when you don't transition well from scene to scene. And I don't like it when people don't do cliffhangers on every page that you have to turn. Like, I don't.
Yeah, pacing
bothers me. The
pacing is a larger thing for both Chris and I.
I'm
really
sorry,
this is like very off center and it's gonna drive me crazy. I mean, it's been driving me crazy, but
it's gonna fall. It's gonna fall.
It's not gonna fall. I got it.
Okay.
All right.
Got it.
Don't touch.
We might have to take a picture of how this is all precariously put. Nerds.
Anyway.
Anyways, so
that's one.
okay, so for you, also tell your history of.
I have. Oh, I put it up here.
Your professional. Don't lose whiskey.
Well, it's cold on the floor where I had it, so
Oh,
my
yeah.
foot just touched it, and I was like, "Oh no, no, it's up there, it's up there." Yeah. So I've also worked in publishing. I used to work in young adult publishing, editing novels, and then I worked at Paper Cuts doing kids graphic novels, and then I worked at DC, and then I worked at Lion Forge. So I've worked on a very wide range of things, and I've also worked as a professional proofreader. Specifically, I worked at DC as a proofreader, and so I have a lot of feelings on specific grammar things. But because I worked as a proofreader, as much as I have some.
When I met you, by the way, we bonded over.
I remember this.
Voila.
Yeah, voila.
The word voila.
Yeah.
Which somebody apparently put in your book WAH-LA.
Yeah. And I was like, no, that's
and
a word.
And I was like, oh my god.
that's not my favorite.
We literally
My
had
favorite.
like a 20-minute conversation about
Somebody
this when I first met her.
Somebody spelled on delay, like
that's what it was.
phonetically.
Oh,
That's what it was.
on delay.
It was ONDELAY. And it took me, I looked at it for like a minute. I was like, this can't be what they mean. And it took me a minute to realize like what they were trying to say. It was on OND. I was like, guys, this isn't a sound effect. This is a real word.
This is a word that you use
In Spanish. And it is not spelled like
voila
this.
is French.
And voila is French.
Well,
yeah.
yeah.
Voila is
Voila.
French.
Yeah. Oh, so good.
But yeah,
I forgot about that.
there was that. So anyway, so a lot of my pet peeves, because I do come from a proofreading background, end up being related to lettering, because I love letterers to death, and I think that they are often underappreciated.
Absolutely.
And I've worked mostly with letterers, and so like things when you don't draw, and I also when I worked as assistant editor, I would do a lot of the like initial balloon layouts, and there was nothing that would drive me more crazy than like you have 3 people in a panel, and the person who speaks first is on the right.
It's not like manga style. You just
That is-
no.
And I'm like, guys, you know how this is going to end up being laid out. Like, unless it's crazy integral, why are you doing this to yourself?
Yep.
and your letterers. I once stopped reading a book. I think it was actually an image book that it was like a style thing. They had these like
Chris
weird.
was like, which one?
It was a couple years ago. It was a couple
Tell
years.
me.
No, it was a couple years ago, and like the tails constantly crossed each other.
Ooh.
And I was like,
No.
I'm out. Hard eject. It, like,
It's
they
like,
constantly.
when
It
they
was,
don't leave like that air in the panel when like to put the word balloons in the artist.
Yeah.
Like when they crowd it, and you're just like, what do you think?
That's like the number one
What are
critique
you
I
thinking?
have when I do portfolio
Yeah.
reviews. Like the number one thing I end up saying is like, this is
No
all
room,
great, but
yeah.
you have to think about your lettering. You're not leaving any room for the lettering.
Right.
But yeah.
I love
that
this so
and,
much right now because this is what I sound like to them. Now I get it. Okay, go on.
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of them, but most of them have to do with like leaving room for lettering and like trusting that your letters know what they're doing and like letter prepping your scripts for them because like I don't think it's that hard.
It's
if
not.
you know how comic lettering work, like it's not that hard for you to make all your eyes like find and replace is your friend. Just like make your eyes lowercase so that when they put them in, they
everything
don't.
lowercase,
You don't
yeah.
have to then go through and like take the crossbars off of all of them except for pronouns. Leave them on your pronouns. Or don't put spaces. Oh, there are no universal thing. There's no space after an ellipses, and there's no spaces around M dashes. Thank you. Good night. That's all.
True.
Enough said. All right.
All right.
I could
Okay.
do this for a really long time.
I know. We could probably spend a whole nerd rages on this. For me, I will go specifically with the lighting stuff because I was background in live theater. Started off acting at 6, but then started doing like technical stuff by age 14, and basically kept doing lighting up until like a year or two ago. So by no means did I have like an educated background, like I didn't go to school for it, but I learned so much just by doing that. It's so frustrating because now it's just so second nature to me. Just make sure that don't go on, just have them lit with like the proper gels, like all that kind of stuff, and just like I just need to see the people.
But then you also can't rely too heavily on actors finding their light.
Oh my god! And then
Sorry,
there's
I
that.
also work as a stage manager in live
Yeah.
theater. Like still, like
How
I'm on
do you
2
not
shows
feel
right
the light
now.
on you? Like maybe
So-
it's just because I'm an actor and I did this, but you could feel like right now I can feel there's a light right here. Like how do you not? Okay.
Yeah.
But so those are our like very specific pet peeves, and it's wonderful to hear from these ladies because I don't do anything. Oh no! I'm
no,
getting a
you're
phone
getting a phone
call
call again.
Phone call. Decline.
Decline that phone call.
Yeah, we're back. It didn't cut off. It didn't.
All
cut off.
right,
It's fine.
so just in time, we're gonna do our nerd raves for the week. So
Yes.
I want Chris to start because this is much more, and mine is actually quite hilarious because of something that I've talked about on the show since we started this show, and I'm totally gonna backtrack. So you
All
go
right.
first because
My
it's pretty amazing.
nerd rave for today is the video clip from the Jimmy Kimmel Show that has Kristen Bell and Dave Grohl, and she is singing "So You Want to Be a Snowman," dedicating it to his children, and then it is a mashup of Metallica's "Enter the Sandman," which is "Enter the Snowman."
Yes,
and
I
she
just put it in the
sings
comment. If you guys haven't
whole
seen
thing
it,
through
just
it.
click on that.
Please watch it
It's
because
so-
number
it's
one,
just-
I'm a Kristen Bell fan. Number
Yeah.
one. Number two, Metallica. I went to their first concert in 1988, guys. So I'm old. But anybody who
But
thinks they're a
badass.
bigger fan than me for Metallica, they're lying. Bernie Betty, I'm looking at you because I know you tried to claim you were a bigger fan, but you're not because I'm older, so I've seen them more. Anywho,
Well, that's like a different flavor of like hipster. Be like, I'm older,
I am totally like the heavy metal hipster.
so
I'm
I
like,
know
I have
better.
Seen them all.
Don't know. I was
Oh.
born that year.
Yeah, you were born this year. Yes, I know. I know.
Oh, no, she didn't.
So I'm just like, I don't know, guys.
right.
I'm sorry.
All right. I'm not going to spoil it because I know a lot of people don't have the CBS All Access app because it's stupid that we have to be able to watch Star Trek Discovery. But for all like the first 6 episodes that I've been just talking down about this show, like I have been so nerd ragey about it that almost every episode that we've done every week I've wanted to rage about it, but I'm like, people are tired of hearing me rage about this show. I can't anymore. Because it's just it's been so non-Star Trek that I keep saying, like, all right, just don't pay attention. Just watch it like it's a sci-fi thing. Like, don't worry about it.
Doesn't sound like a rave.
And then they just, I'm getting there. But then they kept, like, shoving in Star Trek things that would get me all upset again. But, this week was an incredible episode, and it's exactly what I've wanted for this show. It was good. It didn't include any of the really stupid Klingons that they've reinvented for some reason. It didn't include the obviously evil captain. it was great. It was great. It was exactly what
So
Star
that's
Trek
gonna
should
keep
be.
you watching
It's
from
oh
here
yeah,
on.
yeah. They got me. Whatever this last one
Alright.
was, episode 7 or 6. It was
They
great.
sucked her back in.
They got me back. So I don't know if you guys have any raves.
Actually, they didn't
for
suck
the...
her back in because she's been putting herself through this and watching it anyway.
It's
She's
true.
been hate
She didn't
watching.
leave
it.
This
She's
is
been
the
hate
one I've been
watching
hate
it.
watching for
Yeah.
you guys because I want to
Yeah.
make sure that there's
We all
somebody
make
that's
the
been watching it.
sacrifices.
Yeah,
It's cool.
that's what
We
I'm
do
doing
it
for
for
this
you.
team. Yes, you're watching The Good Witch.
Okay, that's not. She's doing that on
I'm not.
purpose.
I'm doing that because I like it. So I'm not hate watching that at all.
That is not. Yeah,
Hallmark
she's watching
Channel!
that.
Yeah, right. And none of us are watching Arrow because we just cannot even.
Can't.
That or Walking Dead, we just can't. If there's anybody
Uh,
watching that has been keeping up with our other shows, I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, that's-
I'm so sorry.
Can't. And I even, when we went through the list of them the other day, like this week, I realized there were a bunch we like didn't even mention that I've just like forgotten about. I'm just like, oh yeah, that's also like I heard an ad on the radio because I listen to the radio that was
So do I.
for like
It's fine.
Lucifer, and I was like, oh,
Oh, I
I
love
forgot
that
about
show.
that. I liked that a
Oh,
lot,
I
but
love
then
that show.
I
I
stopped
watched it
I'll
watching
catch
it.
up on that as well.
I
Gifted
stopped
has still
watching
been
it.
great. I
It's
stopped
awesome.
watching Inhumans because I can't. I just can't.
Yeah.
So many
don't
flavors
watch that
can't.
anymore.
But,
Don't watch the Gifted, though.
But yeah, if anybody else has anything to rave
I
about,
mostly-
let us know.
I mostly
Um,
just watched The Good Place. It's
oh.
very good.
But
See, I can't
yeah,
do that
thank you
last
guys
season.
again for joining us for our
Did you make it to
Nerd
the end?
Rage Whiskey
Yeah.
Wednesday, and we will see you again next week.
Where we make no promises about not spilling.
Yeah, no promises
Can't do it.
whatsoever.
Can't do
All
it.
right, thank you guys. See you next time.
Peace out.
Peace.
I'm not allowed to touch them.
That's what she said.